Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. Not a usual video today, as I'm sure you could tell by the title. Thank you so much, my summit level supporter. Today I'm going to be talking about the recently announced Shadowverse Evolve. We got some information about it today and I'm going to be basically giving a little impressions video. But if you just want the rub, I am very excited for this game, and I think it's probably going to be Bushiroad's biggest by quite a margin. I think this is going to be really good. So let's go ahead and we'll get into it. This is on Freedom Duo. Now, those of you who have been following the digital trading card game scene for some time will have definitely heard of Shadowverse. It came out very soon after Hearthstone. It was basically anime Hearthstone with a couple of differences, you know, like the evolve mechanic. But it came out at a very good time because it came out right when Hearthstone was starting to get very RNG-y. So a lot of players just hopped straight into Shadowverse. I played it at launch, and it was a fun game. I didn't keep playing. There were problems with it that I just like, and there were problems with Hearthstone too, where I just completely, you know, was de-incentivized to play the game. Mainly, it was just the monetization. It was very toxic. I'm told it's better now. But anyway, that being said, the game was fun. I like the art in the game, absolutely, and it's cool that it has a story mode and all this sort of stuff. So naturally, when I saw they were bringing it to a physical TCG, and this was announced probably a couple of weeks ago, I was like, okay, that's very interesting. How are they going to handle that? Because there are a lot of mechanics in the game that do not work in a physical setting. They are very they're very online focused. You know, they require a digital client. So this will be interesting to see. Let's go through and talk about, we don't know much, but we'll talk about the changes they've made. So this is a collaboration between Cygames and Bushiroad, but the split is Bushiroad handling the logistics, the sort of events, although to the extent to which the event stuff is, you know, sort of up in the air, but mainly the logistics, the distribution, the player support, that sort of thing. Whereas Cygames is handling the development and I think the advertising and stuff, which is really good because Cygames has a massive budget. If you've seen like any anime YouTuber, they have been sponsored by Shadowverse multiple times. So yeah, this is pretty big. So let's go through. Let's talk about it. So here are the basic game rules. Players will build a deck between 40 and 50 cards according to their leader's class. So this will sound very familiar if you've played any of Bushiroad's other games. It's like flags, it's like clans. It's you know, it's very much that sort of thing. Evolve. They will also build an evolve deck with up to 10 cards, so you're immediately starting with a separate deck. This isn't really an extra deck. If you haven't played Shadowverse before, essentially, I think it's 2 times per game or 3 times per game. It depends on if you're going first or second. You can basically use one of your evolve points and evolve your follower. And it will basically like flip over. It gains a buff to stats, and it can gain potentially, and it gains new abilities. And the artwork changed, I think, too. So that, you know, it's pretty cool. I think it's definitely a very cool mechanic. And the fact that you are restricted to up to 10 evolve cards in the game, I think, is very interesting because it does seem like you know, the way that's going to be working in the physical setting is very different. And I think that is actually a very interesting mechanic that is going to be a pretty strong USP. But there's more. So you play followers, spells, and amulets using PP. So PP is like gems in Hearthstone, like mana, and that will also be interesting, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. And whoever reduces the opponent's HP to 0 wins the game. Cool. The classes that we're going to have in the game are Elf, Royal, Witch, Dragon, Bishop, and they are merging, I think it's Bloodcraft and Shadowcraft into Nightmare. Now, these were the 2 classes I was most interested in when I was playing the game, so obviously I'm going to be a Nightmare main, although apparently historically they've also been the best classes, so it'll be interesting to see how they balance it. But so then they talk about it evolving here, and what they say is by paying the cost for a specific follower, you may evolve it from your evolve deck. And evolve followers are strong cards that give advantage in battle. But I think this is really interesting because you pay a cost to evolve, right? Which means that you'll be able to do it kind of as many times as you want in a game, and that evolve deck is going to become a very interesting resource. And yeah, I'm just very excited to see that. Now, obviously, the question becomes, how expensive are these evolved things going to be? We're going to need to wait and see on the pull rates and all that sort of stuff, and how, you know, budget friendly this is going to be. But I'm hopeful that it's not going to be prohibitive. You know, it would be nice if it was something like Gate Rulers pull rates, where basically the entire game is obscenely cheap besides SRs. and that was only a set 3 thing. So if they just don't do an SR thing, then the game will just be particularly cheap. The other thing that's got me super excited here, which was not in the digital version, is Quick. So this is cards that can be played during specific timing during your opponent's turn by playing the cost. It's counter speed. Yes, brilliant. This is what I want. I want interaction. I am extremely happy to see this. And I was talking with Different Fight earlier, and one of the nice things you can do, one of the implications of this is in Shadowverse there is summoning sickness, but if you are adding in this instant timing, that's going to be really bad for aggro strategies. So it's entirely possible that summoning sickness is also just gone, and I would really like that because I think summoning sickness is a really bad mechanic and it's not fun, and I don't think anyone actually enjoys it. Then another really interesting thing here is leader cards. So this is a leader that fights alongside the player, and the class that you can play depends on the leader. There'll be more leaders added in the future. So the implications of this are, one, leaders might let you play more than one class, which would obviously be cool, like dual class leaders, letting you fuse, all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of potential there. But also, these could have their own unique mechanics. It's not necessarily just going to be like a figurehead sort of thing. So that's very interesting. And the third thing, looking very far out, these will make very, very cool prize cards. And then they talk about a companion app that will let you keep track of yours, the opponent's life, and PP and all that sort of stuff. And they announced there'll be 6 starter decks released on the 28th of April in Japan. There's a pre-order campaign. There are promos if you pre-order by Feb. And Booster Set 1 will be releasing on the 28th of April. There are 180 card types. 22 LGs, 37 GRs, 57 SRs, and 64 BRs. No idea what all of those mean, but presumably that is more to less rare. What is there to talk about? What's exciting here? There's a bunch of stuff that's exciting. So let's go through the sort of the theorizing bit. So the first thing that's really interesting to me is the way they're going to handle the mana system. And I think the big thing there is if it automatically generates, then I'm totally okay with it because it's a mana system that is it just happens and you don't neg from hand to use it, so that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm cool. Alternatively, it could be something like a charge and draw sort of system where you just take any card, slap it face down, and you draw another card, so you get to filter your hand, and you also gain like the mana for that turn. And of course, the disadvantage there is if you just don't have a hand, then you can't gain your mana. So, well, I don't know. I don't think it's necessary. I think they could accomplish the same thing just by letting you draw once per turn, and then you can discard a card to draw another card once per turn. I think that would accomplish the same thing. I think universally that mechanic from Buddy Fight was really enjoyed, the fact that you could filter your hand that way. So I think they could just add that and not tie it to mana at all, and it would be fine. So I think mana is probably just going to auto-generate once per turn, but I think the potential there is absolutely there. So that's cool. I already talked about the leaders, but I'm really excited for the potential there. I think that there could definitely be some really, really, really cool things they can do with leaders. Now, the other thing that I'm really excited about potentially is the organised play scene here. And that's basically 2 things. So firstly, Shadowverse does a really good job with their organised play in terms of the digital client, right? Like that's the game it is at the moment. It does a really good job. Even in English, like the monthly tournaments, Different Fight was saying, you get like $1,000 to first place. And Worlds, it's like $1 million, right? So the prize pools are massive. So Shadowverse, and already Shadowverse has a fat marketing budget. So that's 2 pieces where Bushiroad just doesn't do it, right? Like, Bushiroad and like fucking I Spy are essentially at the same level as far as it goes in comparison to Cygames. Cygames does a lot, right? So, obviously that's not true. Vanguard has an anime and stuff, but you get what I'm saying, right? So I think there is strong potential for this to really pop off in terms of advertising, in terms of having that organised play support. I'm praying that the events that they do are just completely separate from Vanguard, Vice, whatever. Like, they just do their own thing, they have their own events, and they run them properly. They charge an entry fee, they're best of 3, there could be a sideboard, all that sort of stuff. Like, they just make it a good, interesting, competitive TCG, and I'll be here for it. I will buy a case of set 1. I'm telling you, if they just do that, I will be there for it. On top of that, the thing that is also potentially quite exciting is there is no reason they couldn't implement this method of playing the game into Shadowverse. And I think Chris and I disagree here on this. For him, his perspective is, well, why the hell would they bother doing that? The whole point is that it's getting a whole new group of people into Shadowverse, and I think that's absolutely true. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do anything to do with that. But equally, I do think that one of the most valuable things you can have, your game available as is an online client. It's not like Duel Links doesn't exist, right? And that is, but people don't want to play Duel Links. People don't want to deal with that. People want to play Yu-Gi-Oh. So when Master Duel was announced, it was insanely hype. Equally, I might really enjoy Evolve, but I don't want to play Shadowverse. I don't want to deal with all the other, I'm used to playing Shadowverse Evolve in a certain way. So I think at bare minimum there could be a game mode they add into the normal Shadowverse client, and by having that in there, the fact they're both in the same client, that means that you're way more likely to actually try and transfer over. If they let you transfer your card pools over or something, they have it as a shared card pool, that could be really interesting, and definitely incentivize people to hop in. But anyway, I'm sort of getting ahead of myself there. But I definitely think that an online client is something they should be considering. I think, personally, I think it would be really good. But yeah, that's just sort of an aside. But essentially, overall, my opinions on this, I'm really quite excited. I think there's a lot of potential here. I genuinely think that this is going to be Bushiroad's biggest game by quite some margin. No news of an English release yet. I would be shocked if it doesn't get one within a couple months of the Japanese release. It would be really cool if it was simultaneous. That would be really cool. If it is going to be simultaneous, we will need to see that announcement in the next month or two. If it doesn't come then it's going to be way too late. I also really want to see, basically, Bushiroad, have nothing to do with the tournament organising, outside of, maybe, I don't know, I just don't want them involved, right? They don't do good tournaments. I mean, they do good online tournaments. I would say BRO and stuff has been good. That's been really well done, but that's because they outsource, right? They hire people who know what they're doing, as opposed to just cramming 1,000 sweaty nerds into a conference hall where the pricing is a bit shit and 999 of the sweaty nerds go home disappointed, right? Come on, it's 2022. Let's do something great. Anyway, that's my opinions on Shadowverse Evolve. I don't think I've missed anything, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think this is going to be interesting? Are you excited for this game? Are you going to give it a go? Am I overhyping it way too much? I don't know. I definitely think the audience is there, and if this isn't Bushiroad's biggest game, I will be surprised. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.